we have to talk about the quarterback. We have to talk about Jalen Hurts and the concerns around the city right now. Some on these airwaves, some not on these airwaves. Wherever the concern is, I think it's going a bit too far. This is a Super Bowl contender. And while I understand the identity of this football team is the defense and is Saquon in the run game, Jalen Hurts has been a full-time starter for 3 full seasons, and now this is his 4th. The first year, you're a rookie with a rookie head coach, and you sort of let that one slide. Although making the playoffs and experiencing what it's like to be on the road in a playoff situation, your first taste of NFL action, isn't necessarily a bad gig. So I somewhat put that off to the side because not many rookies are just stepping in and dominating at will. Todd Bowles said, we are going to test you. He failed the test. He improved so much that we're talking about a Super Bowl team the second year he is involved with the Eagles. It's a monster deal to do that. Right now, they're at 10-2. Last year, through 11 games, they were 10-1. I know there was a crumble. He was a part of that crumble. But my point is, when you watch what the Eagles have been with Jalen Hurts as the quarterback, we are about to embrace another Super Bowl-like run. After 2 years ago having a Super Bowl run. After last year having something that through 11 weeks we thought was another Super Bowl run. And I just feel, while there are question marks about maybe some areas of the passing game, Jalen Hurts wins. He wins. We're talking 3 seasons of, 14 wins, 11 wins in one of the worst Philadelphia Eagles collapse we've ever seen. You're winning 11 games. You're 10-2 now through 12 games. And it doesn't look like they're slowing down. And while you're not getting willed to victory because of the quarterback play, what we can't do is diminish his skill set. In the fourth quarter, when you got to have it, he has it. When it's 3rd and 7 and the play isn't there, he has patience. He has poise. He runs for the first down. He keeps the chains moving. And now you still have your offense driving with maybe 4 minutes to go. He hits Dallas Goedert on a 3rd and 7. He hits A.J. Brown with a slant over the middle. He does a lot of great things when it's crunch time. And the most important of it all is he doesn't turn the rock over. And a lot of media members, a lot of fans will look at the fact that his stats don't pop. Well, he only threw the ball 19 times. Well, he only threw the ball 21 times. Reality is, though, it's all about timely, and it's all about when the pressure is on and it's the fourth quarter and it's a close game and you constantly run the ball, but what do you do when you have to throw it in that sequence? It's dialed up, it's perfect, it's on the money, and they keep the offense on the field. Jalen Hurts wins, and he doesn't turn the football over. Jameis Winston just threw for 400 yards, however many touchdowns, 4 touchdowns, 5 touchdowns, pick sixes out the wazoo. The turnovers is what crushes teams. We watched it earlier this season. What Jalen Hurts is able to do by just keeping the rock in the possession of the Eagles and not giving other teams short fields, not giving other teams 6 points with a pick six, 7 points, however you want to look at it, is incredible. And when you go through spurts of 0 turnovers, 5, 6, 7 games in a row, that's a winning formula. That's a detail that cannot be overemphasized, or it can't get emphasized enough. It's getting overlooked. We have a quarterback who barely puts the ball in harm's way. That is just as important to me than a quarterback that can go out and throw for 450 yards. That's been the kryptonite of Josh Allen. 400 yards, but 2 greasy turnovers that it completely changes the talk of the game. It completely changes the flow. Not that I wouldn't love a Josh Allen, but if someone throws for 230 yards and doesn't have any turnovers, that's just as valuable to me as somebody who throws for 400 with a pick and a fumble. And we're always playing with fire. You don't play with fire with Jalen. So here's my question for you. Does Jalen concern you? Because I think the concerns are going way too far this week. And it's been loud this week. Because of Saquon and his ability to take over against the Ravens, there's been a lot of talk. So does Jalen Hurts concern you? 215-592-9494. Let's take a listen to a couple different national media members here as we start this conversation. I guess let's start with Dan Orlovsky of ESPN, who was talking about Jalen Hurts and his ability to be effective with a no-huddle offense. Take a listen here.
You know, when you watch this offense play, I've talked about the slow starts, right? I don't like them. But at some point, Kellen Moore figures out what you're doing defensively, and then they get into their no-huddle offense. And I think that's when they put defenses in bind offensively, is they'll present something to the defense, and the defense will stay into their situations. And if they get a first down, they're just going to stay on the field and run no huddle.
It's so true, and as that clip expands, he gives you so many different visuals. It wouldn't make sense for radio purposes, but you can see that Jalen, in this no-huddle offense, walks up to the line of scrimmage, and he reads what the defense is showing, and then he counters by communicating with this team and say, okay, they're showing us this. We're now going to do that. So constantly, no huddle. They're not rallying together. They're not getting into their huddle and talking about things. It's, all right, what are they showing? This is what we are going to do because of it. And they, in the fourth quarter, are having the success because of what Jalen is seeing and what Jalen is working with at the line of scrimmage. And that's extremely important. That cannot go unnoticed either. So that was Dan Orlovsky. Now let's listen to Chase Daniel on his pod, breaking down why he doesn't necessarily believe in the Eagles, and it may have a correlation with the QB.
Diana, the only question I have about the Eagles and why I cannot put them on the Lions level is because of the quarterback. And it's really not a weakness per se, but I have not seen in this 8-game win streak Jalen Hurts really take over a game. At some point this year, whether it's later in the season or whether it's in the playoffs, can Jalen Hurts turn it up a notch to his 2022 level? I have yet to see it. He's got one of the best duos in the league, Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown, but they're just not asking him to throw a lot. I think he's throwing the ball like 19 and a half times per game since the bye week, so it's going to be interesting to see, but that's why I have the Lions ahead as just a quarterback. Diana, the only question I have about the Eagles and why I cannot put them on the Lions level is because of the quarterback.
That's all good. Yeah, it started to replay there, but it's all good. So with the conversation there with Chase Daniel, I think it's ludicrous to look at the way the Philadelphia Eagles win and think that that is a knock on the QB because their offensive line and their running back is so powerful. This whole narrative that what is it going to look like when a team forces the Eagles to have to throw, it's not a thing. Let me break it down for you pretty simply here. There isn't a team that has what it takes to stay upright for 4 quarters and compete against this offensive line and Saquon where you're going to shut them down and have to force Jalen to nonstop drop back 24/7 and pick you apart in the passing game. I don't think that will ever happen. I really don't. And that's not to say that, well, it doesn't really stop us from having a Jalen Hurts discussion because they're not really leaning on him. But, you know, Jalen, he could do more than he is talked about in the passing game. People make it seem like he's a flat-out stiff that can't throw a football. There have been some legitimate dimes. There have been some absolute dots, and a lot of them. Not randomly peeking in here and there. Every week, you could point out some serious, unbelievable throws, whether it's to Saquon Barkley on a wheel route to the back of the end zone, whether it's to A.J. Brown on a 4th and 2. Not that I loved the idea of doing that with the game on the line to pretty much secure the W, but with the game on the line to secure a W, a 4th and 2 dropped right in the breadbasket for A.J. Brown to make an awesome catch. He does that. But the moral of the story here, though, about what's it going to look like if a team, imposes their will and they find out a way to stop the run game and now Jalen has to do it all on his own, it's not possible. I'm telling you right now, it's not possible. The Ravens are the second best run defense you're going to see. Did you watch the same game I watched? There isn't a team that's going to force that to happen. I don't care if things change for playoff intensity. I don't care if things change because teams are watching film and studying for you differently. There isn't physically a way that there is a team that can line up against the Philadelphia Eagles and manage to stop this run game. So the reason why that's important is this is the blueprint. This is the layout. This is the way it's going to be. And with Jalen Hurts playing this role, maybe 20 times a game he's throwing the football, if he's making timely throws when needed and not turning the football over, and we rely heavily on the run game, Jalen Hurts and the concerns shouldn't be there because this is a sustainable way of winning a championship. This is a sustainable way of beating up on any team that looks at us in the eyes. This is a championship caliber roster playing at a championship caliber rate, and they can do it with Jalen Hurts, who is playing the game smart enough with detailed areas of the game, not turning the rock over, that wins championships. His fourth quarter moments, it may not be iconic. It may not be, wow, SportsCenter top 10, but it could be a 3rd and 6 where he escapes and he runs for the first down. It could be making a nice throw to Dallas Goedert on 3rd and 4 when it looks like maybe there's a chance the drive stalls and you have to punt it away and rely on your defense, which, by the way, wouldn't necessarily be a bad thing considering they have a juggernaut defensively too. But I'll tell you what. I believe over the last 24 to 48 hours, the nonsense talk about Jalen Hurts' concerns is a little ridiculous considering, these last 3 years after him being a starter, we have real championship Super Bowl thoughts the last 3 years. The last 3 years. Real Super Bowl thoughts. Not Sixers championship thoughts where it's like, they're good enough, right? And then you see what happens every year. No. This year, it could be done. 2 years ago, it could have been done. Last year's tricky. I think there were a ton of systemic problems from top to bottom with coordinators, with Sirianni, with Jalen, with a lot of it. It wasn't the right chemistry. And that's from top to bottom. But through 11 games, we were going, this team is gross, and this team has a weird personality where they just find ways to win. Jalen's been the quarterback of these teams over the last 3 years. We haven't been set up like this thinking, we can host an NFC championship game every year since the Donovan McNabb era. I guess we kind of had it with Doug there for the 1 year they won the bowl, and then the year after the bowl we had high expectations, but they didn't really live up to it. But since Andy Reid and McNabb, we haven't been thinking, hey, we can host an NFC championship game every single year the way we do with Jalen Hurts as our quarterback. I think we got to understand that. Jalen isn't the biggest wow guy. It's not wow. Stats aren't wow. The gunslinging isn't wow. It's not wow. But it's Jalen. Jalen talks in cliches, which is boring, and his game is, in a way, boring. It's fundamentally sound in ways, if you will. It's like a clean game of football of not turning the rock over, making simple plays when needing to. That's what it is. And if you stick to that, drive after drive after drive, you're not going to be wowed, but you're going to get the results. And I think the Jalen Hurts concerns are going too far. 215-592-9494. Does Jalen Hurts concern you? All right, let's go to the phones. Let's kick this puppy off. Let's go to Ben in Millville. What's up, Ben?
What's up, Brodes? How are you?
I'm doing good, man. How are you feeling tonight?
Hey, I'm doing wonderful. I love your takes on Wednesdays at 3:30 with the Ike Spike and Splash of Fritz show that it should be called. I'm a wonderful, devoutful WIP listener. You can ask any of the shows. They know who Ben from Millville is.
Well, thanks, Ben. I appreciate the kind words.
Oh, and I'm a big Flyers person, and that's not the talk right now. But just letting you know the caveat of that.
I appreciate that.
Jalen Hurts is not a game manager. He is a quality to excellent to great quarterback. He knows how to play the game and the total game. He knows what play to do, and all the little is he or is he not? It's a winning formula. It's a winning formula with him and Nick.
I agree. I agree with you. Yeah, look, and I've been down on Nick before, and I've even been down on Jalen earlier this year because the pass game is still not what I want it to be. But at the end of the day, now that they've rattled off 8 straight, they responded after the bye week, you just got to get hit with reality here and realize that Jalen Hurts wins. I know that's what everybody says, but it's the truth. All he does over the last 3 years was win to the point where we thought we had a real chance to win a Super Bowl. We got to understand that.
Exactly, Brodes. And it's a formula that works. Yeah, was there? You said it exactly. Was what happened last year? Was there a systematic problem? Exactly right. We didn't have the correct coordinators. Something wasn't right, and the team won't tell us, and we don't need to know. Even though all of us that listen to WIP on a daily from noon to night. Want to know that answer, but as the afternoon was saying, we're becoming as the NFL is changing to the run the ball. We had fans outside the NovaCare complex sipping coffee with a sign saying "Howie, run the ball." Like it's not nothing new to us that the fans know what's right. The listeners of WIP know what's right. We all want what's best for our NFL team, front and foremost. The Phillies, Sixers, and Flyers, they'll come, when the time is right, and the Flyers are way more prominent than the Sixers right now. But it's all Jalen. It's Jalen with Nick. It's everything is coming to fruition through both of them. The game flows through both of them. Who cares? You're exactly right, Brodes, with saying that he doesn't have the flashy stats. He's not the Josh Allens of the world. But it doesn't matter. We had 250 offensive yards against Baltimore, and guess what? We won the game. What's it matter when you talk to the wins and loss columns that you win 8 straight wins? That's how the game is won. That's how the NFL, the National Football League, is played. You win or you lose. And guess what? The Philadelphia Eagles, they're winners, and they're going to continue to be winners until they meet their match. And let's hope all those games that get to be played past all those 17, 18 weeks will be played, and we will be winners this year.
I love it, Ben. Thank you so much, man. I appreciate the phone call. I mean, I'm expecting that for sure. And to bring up the whole Chase Daniel thing again, he's talking about quarterback play, right? And he feels the Lions have an advantage because of the quarterback play, as if Jared Goff is some unbelievable piece. Look, I don't think he's a bum. And sometimes, even when he was on the Rams, I thought the criticism was a little harsh. But that also falls right back into where we are now with Jalen. I think there's this fake narrative on quarterbacks where quarterbacks aren't allowed to be flawed and they are these perfect machines. Pat Mahomes is an outlier, just like Tom Brady was an outlier. Lamar Jackson is viewed as a great quarterback. Why? Because he is a great quarterback. He is struggling to win in the playoffs. Josh Allen is labeled a great quarterback because he is a great quarterback. My man is having a very difficult time winning in the playoffs. And it's not because they stink, but it's because there are areas within these guys' games, whether it's, Lamar Jackson figuring out exactly how to be that dual threat and how he's able to utilize the passing game, whether it's Josh Allen and his turnovers. There's a lot of questions with even the best quarterbacks that you compare Jalen Hurts to. You just don't look at their flaws the same way because they're not taking snaps in your jersey nonstop, the way that, we study Jalen. Every single throw needs to be so perfect. These other quarterbacks are not perfect either. We got to get it out of our head that to win, it needs to be X, Y, and Z. I don't think it does. Jalen Hurts and the Philadelphia Eagles, based off of who they are, this dynamic with the offensive line, with the belief in the trenches, with this system, with the style they play, Jalen Hurts is the vocal leader of that. He is. I mean, he's the quarterback. You could say he doesn't talk much, but, he is a vocal leader when you are the quarterback of this franchise. He's the leader of that. He is the sort of the energy of that, the way he speaks, the way he carries himself, his body language, his demeanor, all of that tied into one helps carry this team on a day-to-day basis. They vibe off that. And with Nick Sirianni, this duo of two completely different personalities, it's a good yin and yang. This thing works, and they win. They win nonstop. And the formula with Jalen Hurts is a different formula than it is with Baltimore. It's a different formula than it is with Buffalo. It's a formula here that leans more into their offensive line play, but his ability to play a clean game, to not put the ball in harm's way, and to do enough in the passing game, and to drop dimes in there too throughout periodically, is enough to win a championship. And I don't think we need to pick it apart to this crazy level where we are crazy concerned about Jalen Hurts, because 3 years of NFL football is a long time. We may, if this thing goes the way it's trending ongoing, right? And let's say they're in an NFC championship game and they're one game away from the Super Bowl. They happen to win on the road or at home to go to the Super Bowl. That would be Jalen Hurts going to 2 Super Bowls in 3 years. When would we stop having this convo? Not to say he's perfect. He is definitely not perfect. But I think we ask Jalen Hurts to be something that is irrational. I think we ask Jalen Hurts to be something that isn't fair to him. This Jalen Hurts is real. This Jalen Hurts is legit. And this Jalen Hurts can win you a championship. Let's go to Steve in Trenton. What's up, Steve?
Hey, Hunter. How you doing? Thanks for having me on. I think it's my first time on with you. I've heard you do the Flyers time. I got to give you a little more time with that. But, yeah, happy to be on.
Well, thank you so much. I appreciate the kind words.
I love hearing what you're saying, man. I wish you would just get the Odyssey Rewind and just blast that at the studio all day tomorrow for the afternoon show. Because everything you're saying is right, man. The people that Jalen Hurts is a great player. He might not be the best quarterback in the league, but he's leading us to 10-2. You got to look at the positive things he does. He contributes to the run game with Saquon Barkley. He can throw it deep. He can run it himself. He's durable. People never talk about that. Jalen Hurts hasn't had a significant injury in a long time. The people who are criticizing him, just come out and say what you really mean. If you want him to be a top 3, top 5 quarterback like Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, those guys are all going to be Hall of Famers. I mean, you have to temper your expectations. He's a good player. He's a top 4 to 8 quarterback that can win you games. And yeah, there's no reason the criticism is just ridiculous. It's because the ball is in his hands every play. I honestly think the people that are criticizing Jalen Hurts, they think football is like Madden, and you should just be putting up 48 points a game. Football doesn't work like that. We just saw the MVP Lamar Jackson last week miss 2 crucial throws that could have possibly won them the game. If WIP was Baltimore radio, like you were just saying, we would be ripping Lamar Jackson if he was our guy. I mean, it's just, what do you want him to be? I really feel like these guys criticizing him, they want him to be Patrick Mahomes, and it's just, he's a great player. We're 10-2 for the 3rd year in a row. I mean, again, what do you want to do? You want to win the Super Bowl every year, score 45 points every game? Yeah, me too. But this guy's a great quarterback, and I don't think he deserves any of the criticism.
Yeah, and look, I do think it's fair once in a while, especially early in the year. I was still confused, but now we have enough information, and I was always a Hurts guy, so that's why the beginning of this season made me uncomfortable because I was starting to turn and have some questions, but now I'm starting to see again, oh yeah, Brodes, this is why you love Jalen Hurts, because he just wins, and something we got to also realize when having a quarterback discussion is the Eagles are a great franchise, and they set the quarterback up with a lot. And I'm not just talking about, skill position players, but this franchise isn't a franchise where you're in Jacksonville and Trevor Lawrence has to save the day and become this automatic special weapon who, by the way, isn't panning out. But, you have stability, you have realness, you have great GM, you got awesome cap space. You have it all surrounding this kid. This kid can win a Super Bowl, and the franchise supports those decisions just as good as anything you could ever ask for. I think Jalen Hurts truly can do this, and the concern is a little crazy in my eyes.
I agree completely. And one last thing, too, the NFL shifting to those too deep, too high safeties all the time, making it much more common, opening up the run game. That's not his fault. Great. I love that he can only throw 18, 20 passes a game, because that just means when they do, finally load the box like crazy to stop Saquon, it's only going to be easier for him to air it out. So when I see those low attempts, it's just like great. They're setting up the passing game for later. They're proving the run game is so dominant. So when teams adjust, it's going to be even easier for him to throw. So people look at that as a negative. Oh, he's not throwing it enough. We're getting teams ready. We're sucking them in with the run. It's going to make it even easier to pass when we do need to down the line.
I love it, Steve. Thank you so much for the phone call, man. 215-592-9494. I believe the Jalen Hurts concerns are going too far. All right? Does Jalen Hurts concern you? That's my question for you all. 215-592-9494. And coming up next, the correlation with running backs being back, right? That's the talk of town. Running backs are back. And there's a correlation between that and the Jalen discussion. We'll talk about it. It's Brodes just getting started right here on 94 WIP.